Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our show titled Speak of Africa. It's a new week. We have another great show for you. We have a lot of countries we're covering. We're covering Ivory Coast, La République du Cameroun, Ambazonia, Burkina Faso, Chad, Congo DRC, Ghana, Mozambique, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zambia. So we're covering a whole lot of countries in Africa. Our news is different from our competitors. What we try to do, we try to look at the current stories in the motherland. We look at the various countries. We read all the newspapers. We are also online. We read the news that is available online. We look at the common threads for the week. Then we see how this news fits in a geopolitical context. For the geography of the world, the big story is the Ukraine conflict and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We have a lot of protests. Donald Trump is meeting with Vladimir Putin on Friday, and Israel wants to reoccupy Gaza, and a lot of Israelis are protesting. The same way a lot of people in Ivory Coast are protesting. In the case of Ivory Coast, the problem is democracy gone astray. I call it democracy deficits. When you have a deficit, it means something is lacking. When, say, for example, you have money, then what you have is not enough. You are in minus. You are in the red. You are not in the green. We call that a deficit. So it's like you have a debt. So in Africa, there is a deficit of democracy. Why? It is just the way most African countries were created after they got their flag independence. The colonial master made sure that real democracy should not exist in Africa. They created what I call imperial presidents. These presidents rule by decree, but they were beholden to the interests of the colonial master and the new colonial master. That's what happened. Which is why when you see problems today in Africa, the problems are caused by Africa's past. I've talked to you many times about the tripartite, triple heritage in Africa: indigenous influences, Christian influences, and Islamic influences by my professor Ali Masri. So when you look at whatever is happening in Africa, you have to put it in a geopolitical context. You have to put it in a historical context. I know you may have forces that are working against Africa today, but when you look at most of them, they are not really immediate forces. They tend to be historical. So the historical forces combine with the present reality to create the problem. And that's what is happening. So when you see a country like Ivory Coast imploding today, a lot of people, more than 2 million people, were out in the street protesting. Alassane Ouattara came to power saying that he's a Democrat. He's actually a stooge of the international institutions like the World Bank, the United Nations. So they sent him there to come and break the logjam that existed. They took out Laurent Gbagbo and forced Alassane Ouattara on the people. And Alassane Ouattara is not really a guy from Ivory Coast. He's a foreigner. He's actually a guy from Burkina Faso. But because of his contacts in the international community, France smoothed out everything so that he can become the president of Ivory Coast. But since he came, he has just been killing guys who could have taken over from him. Ahmed Bakayoko, just to name one. So many of the guys, whenever you are like a good guy who can succeed him, he eliminates you silently. That's what Alassane Ouattara has been doing. And because he's a French puppet, France will never object to anything he does wrong. So when you look, every time Alassane Ouattara is changing the constitution, then this time, Laurent Gbagbo was freed from the ICC. They say he did not commit any crime. Now he wants to run as a member of the opposition. So when Laurent Gbagbo was president, Alassane Ouattara ran against him. But now Alassane Ouattara does not want Laurent Gbagbo to run as an opposition candidate. Tidjane Thiam is another popular opposition candidate who was disqualified from running for president. So even the young ladies who even came and wanted to also put their hat in the ring and become a candidate for president, Alassane Ouattara sidelined all of them. So matters came to a head. Because of these democratic deficits, what happened? Over 2 million Ivorians went to the streets and they were protesting. So when you look at what is happening in Ivory Coast today, it is marvelous. How is Alassane Ouattara going to handle it? Well, he has no choice. People power. The people are out in the street protesting. And this is what other Africans need to learn. Because when I even look at some videos online, I saw a baby journalist telling Cameroonians, you need to learn from Ivorians how to protest, and topple a regime like the Biya regime. Because this is a baby journalist. So it was really funny, a little boy advising Cameroonians, baby journalist. When I look at the boy, probably is like 5 years old. He's advising cowards in Cameroon to know how to fight against Biya. That's what we saw, okay? So in Cameroon, Biya has cleared all the hurdles. Biya wants to run for an 8th term, even though he's over 92 years old. He's vegetable. He cannot really run a country. So what is really happening in Cameroon is a charade. Today, Samuel Kleda, Monsignor Kleda, came out again swinging. He is a leader of the Catholic Church in Douala. And he's telling Cameroonians that Biya is the wrong person. Biya cannot solve Cameroon's problem. So Biya's entourage is just playing games. They just want to use his name. Even if Biya is a corpse, they will still use that corpse to run for president because they want to maintain their sphere of influence in Cameroon. They have been exploiting the country, plunging all the resources of the country. The treasury is almost empty. Cameroon is broke. Cameroon keeps borrowing more and more money. So when I look at it, the after Biya period is going to be hell because Cameroon owes so much money. How is Cameroon going to pay off this money? So the youth is stuck. Their future has been mortgaged by Paul Biya and his henchmen. So when you look at what is happening, Clement Atangana, the president of the Constitutional Council, well, he has chosen who should run against Biya. Biya knows that Maurice Kamto is a very powerful opposition candidate. So instead of making the mistake they made last time by allowing Maurice Kamto to run, this time they're not going to let him run at all because Biya doesn't want that embarrassment. In 2018, Maurice Kamto won the presidential election. As usual, Biya did not let him take over power. So which is why for months I have been telling Maurice Kamto supporters, last time your victory was stolen from you. You did not do anything about it. The electoral system is still lopsided. Everything is stacked against you. So what do you think is going to be different this time? Do you think that by telling Paul Biya and his people that I'm not going to try you, I will give you a good retirement package, you live in peace, Biya would allow you to become president? Hell no. Biya has a bunch of bandits, mafia folks. The wife herself is a mafia don. They're not going to just give over power like that. So this is why I think Maurice Kamto is naive. So if he's thinking they're going to give up, so he should have a week on this show telling people that Maurice Kamto is naive. If he thinks he's going to come with clean hands and take over the country Cameroon, he's smoking something. So now I've been vindicated. So even the other members of the opposition, Issa Chiroma came out exposing the regime. This is a regime he served. He confessed what he did in order for the Paul Biya regime to win in the north. He betrayed his people. But things have come to a head. He doesn't want to betray his people anymore, which is why even Bello Buba Maigari, who is supposed to be another a candidate. He also is running. But can he really change the system? This week, his manifesto showed that he was really a serious candidate because he came up with strong points. One, he was talking about solving the Ambazonia issue. For so long, since 2016, the Biya government has been unable to resolve the Ambazonia crisis. They have been looking for ways to run away from the problem, but the problem festers is still there. B and all those guys, they've tried to kill a lot of people. I know they've killed over 10,000 people from the southwest and northwest region. But the boys are still kicking. Even today, I received reports showing that in Bingo, in the northwest region, freedom fighters from Ambazonia kill some of Biya's forces. So it's like a game of attrition. They keep killing them every day, but they are not listening. They keep killing them every day. But why would Biya listen? Biya is vegetable. So the people who are really running the show for him are folk like Atanganji. You know, Atanganji, that's not his real name. He took over the documents of his late brother, and that's why he's answering that name. So he doesn't have any certificate. But he went to Nigeria and fabricated fake certificates showing that he went to school. He went to the school of Feymania, where you learn how to dupe people, commit crime. So he's really a criminal. Newberg prison. Atanganji has been to that prison at least 3 times. The people know it. So why would Biya bring somebody like this and make him the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister of Interior? Because Biya needs bandits. Biya needs a bandit to run the show for him. And Atanganji is a bandit. When you have people like Laurent Esso, these were the people who have been sexing him, fucking Atanganji, Laurent Esso. Then you have Jean-Pierre Amogu Belinga. These are all their fucking partners. So it's a very depraved system when you look at what these people do in La République du Cameroun. When you look at a guy like Beloboa Maigari, he talks the talk. But does he have a plan to articulate most of the issues that he raised? He wants to solve the Ambazonia problem. Good. He wants to solve the issue with a constitution that is a live constitution. Okay? Does he have a plan to accomplish all of this stuff? That's the problem. ELECAM, Constitutional Council are 2 institutions that are beholden to Paul Biya. So how can you have a free and fair election? John Frundi in 1992 won the presidential election. All of us know that. The Americans know that. I've read all the documents from the NDI, National Democratic Institute in Washington. All they say is that Frundi won the election, Biya lost, but Biya did not want to accept defeat. So he forced the people to declare him the victor. So how are things going to be different this time? So that's the question I've been asking members of the opposition. What they can really do is to come together the way the people have come together in Ivory Coast. This will solve a big problem for Cameroonians. Okay? Because when I look at it, Cabral, Libi, Joshua Oshie, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance because Biya has already cleared the way. He has cleared the deck so that he's the only player. So he's the only one who will be declared the winner of the presidential elections. Then after that, his entourage, which is filled with bandits, starting with Chantal, the chief bandit. They will run things until they get tired. But are they going to get tired time soon? We don't think so. So that's a sad thing. But the good thing, Cameroonians need to learn from Ivory Coast. The Ivorians are taking it to the street. When you take to the streets en masse, the military cannot do anything to you. When you are just like 2 or 3 of you, the military can bully you and ask you to return to your home. But when people pour into the streets like water, the military is mesmerized. They can't do anything. That's what you see in Ivory Coast. So learn lessons. There's a baby journalist in Ivory Coast saying, Cameroonians, you guys are afraid. Come and learn how to organize a mass protest. This is what you need in Cameroon against the Paul Biya regime. Otherwise, this regime will continue holding you hostage. Okay? And that's what is happening. Cameroonians have been held hostage. Monseigneur Samuel Cleda came out again, talking. The need for freedom We need somebody new who can take Cameroon to a new era. Paul Biya cannot be that person. His time is past. So Paul Biya represents the past. Cameroonians are dreaming of a better future. So they need a candidate who can take them to this better future. But this is like a Rubicon. How are we going to break this? We have to get the system down. We have to break it. You can only break the system by people going to the streets en masse, in millions. That's what Cameroonians need to do. Douala, go and march, protest in millions. Yaoundé, go and protest in millions. That's what Ivory Coast is doing now. Alassane Ouattara cannot handle the mass protests. Laurent Gbagbo, those are the guys organizing the protests. Tidjane Thiam, those are the people organizing the protests. They are telling their people, unite. We are united, then we can face this common enemy. To be or not to be, that's the question. And that's the typical Shakespearean concern. Am I going to leave? Am I going to protest? To protest is a do or die situation. To be or not to be, that's the question. Next, we take you to Burkina Faso. In Burkina Faso, we are seeing what happens when a regime refuses to obey the laws of democracy. They make coup d'etats possible. And that's why the coup d'etat is possible in Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traore is there, but we know you've never heard of Jafar Diko. Jafar Diko is one of the kingpins in the jihadist movement in the country. It looks like the government of Marc Kabore gave them a lot of money, so they are using this money to fight the government of Ibrahim Traore. So Ibrahim Traore is really doing his best, but these terrorists have a lot of money. So they are awash with a lot of money. So that's why the government is really having a difficult time dislodging them. It's not easy. People have been asking me, Prince Ojong, why is it that Ibrahim Traore is always in the news, but he's not really capturing a lot of new territory? It's not as easy as it sounds. These terrorists have a lot of support. They have a lot of money. And they use this money to fight. Okay? Then what about Chad? In Chad, the bad news is Sucet Masra has been jailed for 20 years because of his opposition activities. Is that democracy? We told you, Muhammad Debi Itno is not going to allow any democratic rule in Chad. So we'll continue having problems in Chad because we have democratic deficiencies, deficits in that country. Then what about Congo? In Congo DRC, of course, Felix Tshisekedi has reshuffled his cabinet. He has introduced some members of opposition, like Albert Muzito is now part of the cabinet. But what is happening? Shuffling the cabinet is just like a political maneuver. The problems are still there. The people in the country want a real national dialogue. Felix Tshisekedi doesn't want a national dialogue. So the people want to discuss the real problems of the country. Felix Tshisekedi is afraid that a national dialogue may take him out of office. So he's playing games. So he's looking for a band-aid. He doesn't want to really solve the problem. And as I tell you now, fighting has resumed in the east, in Congo DRC. M23 and the army are fighting again. Remember, they have made a peace pact, but the peace pact is not holding. There have been fresh skirmishes taking place in the east, in Congo DRC. So this is sad. Next, we take it to Ghana. In Ghana, we have a lot of sad news. There's a helicopter crash that killed a lot of cabinet members. We give our condolences to the families. This crash killed some members of the government, some members who are in Mahatma cabinet, John Mahatma's cabinet, the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Environment, plus some of their support staff were killed in this helicopter crash. You can see the site with the helicopter burning. So we are saying we give our condolences to the families of the departed. This was a ghastly accident, and we have to accept it. Whenever people die, we have to give thanks to God to keep their soul, take them to heaven, which we believe as Christians. I know even our Muslim brothers believe the same. So let's wish these people who have died peace, profound peace. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Then in Mozambique, so much trouble in Africa. In the north of Mozambique, this is the country of Frelimo. Okay? People are running away from the north because of fighting. Over 1,000 people have been displaced. So that's what is happening. In Africa, too much trouble. We ask you, what do you have to say? In Nigeria, too much trouble. 2027, that's the focus of Bola Tinubu. Today, we've also heard stories that Goodluck Jonathan may also be a candidate for president in 2027. So Peter Obi has already welcomed him into the fray. So how are these forces going to work out? So that's a question a lot of inquiring minds are asking. So you, my people, tell me, what do you think? What's going to happen? Share in the comment section. Tell us what you think. We love when you comment. When we tell you to comment, you comment, and people like to get your views because this is not a monologue. When we present the show, we don't want it to be a monologue where we speak, and speak. We also expect you to respond to what we're saying. If you agree with us, tell us you agree with us. If you don't agree with us, tell us you don't agree with us. We accept criticism, and that's what can take Africa forward, okay? Then, in South Africa, what are we doing? Well, in South Africa, the country has already started feeling the pinch of the Trump tariffs, but they are trying to do different things to have some shock absorbers so that the impact of the tariff should not be significant. Then Cyril Ramaphosa is still thinking he'll be in a position to convince Trump to lower the 30% tariffs on his country. If that happens, that will be something positive. Then what about Tanzania? Tanzania is also having presidential elections in October, just like La République du Cameroun. But just the way Paul Biya's handlers are doing things to the opposition, the government of Madam Samia Hassan, is sidelining the major opposition forces. She doesn't want them to campaign or run for president. So she wants to be the only candidate. So this is why we say there is a deficit of democracy in Tanzania, just like the other countries we've just named. So democracy is making a U-turn, is moving backwards. During the Arab Spring, we were thinking that Africa was making a positive move forward in democracy. But we've seen a lot of backsliding, and this is not good. So it's telling us that democracy in Africa should not be the winner takes it all that we see in the West, okay? Even when you look at Zambia, the last country we're discussing on this show today, you have the president, Edgar Lungu. He died in South Africa, but his family does not want his body to be repatriated to Zambia because Edgar Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema, the current president, have been enemies because they have been competing against each other for a very long time. Finally, Hakainde Hichilema was able to dislodge Edgar Lungu from the presidential seat. So his family is very bitter because Edgar Lungu was thinking that he can come back and run again for president. But as they say, man proposes, God disposes. Illness killed him in South Africa, and his family decided that they will bury him in South Africa. So the government of President Hakainde Hichilema decided that no, Edgar Lungu deserves a state burial. As a statesman, they will give him a burial befitting his status as former president of the country. So the South African court sided with the wishes of the government of Zambia. So they have flown the body of Edgar Lungu to Zambia for state burial. But you begin to see that in Africa, when you are president, you want to stay forever. The presidential seat is so sweet, Africans don't want to leave it. I don't really know why Africans love the presidential power thing like bonbon. It's so sweet, they don't want to give it up. Once they get in, they may be saying that, oh, when we get in, we'll not stay, we'll be democratic. But once they get in, they become dictators. And that's a sad story of democracy. There's a deficit of democracy in Africa. So the democratic deficit needs to be managed properly. And that's the message we're giving you on the show of today. Because without dealing with these democratic deficits, we're not going to have peace. And you cannot really have development in Africa if there's no peace. So we need an environment where there is order and peace. So let's accept people who think differently from us. Let us not use democracy as a weapon. When I look at the type of democracy we need in Africa, I always remind my viewers, read the book, Indigenous African Institutions by Professor Ayite, George Bernard Ayite. Let's not use the democracy that we got from the West. Let us go back to the drawing board. Let's create a democracy that reflects the realities of the African experience. When you have a system where the guy is an imperial president, you cannot tell him anything, he does what he wants. So everybody needs checks and balances. Any normal human being needs checks and balances. They should not be able to just do away with presidential term limits as if that's garbage. No. So we need strong institutions in Africa. We don't need strong people. But so far, the colonial masters play games. They only make our leaders strong so that they don't listen to us. They only listen to the colonial master because they finance their budgets. When you look at a typical African country, they have a lot of debt. Why are they always having a lot of debt? Cameroon, for example, poor Biya is so old. He will die soon, but he's leaving Cameroonians with a mountain of debt. Why? And much of this money is stolen. It does not even get to the country. That's the sad thing with the debt people like poor Biya get, and they mortgage the future of Cameroonians. The money is not really helping Cameroonians. Oh no, Biya is going to get this money. They will do developments in the north of the country. That's just propaganda. That's a lie. So you've watched our show. So we're asking you, what do you think? We've raised a lot of issues dealing with democratic deficits. What do you think about it? Go to the comment section and share what you think. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.